Throughout Christmas and New Year, whilst most people are off sunning themselves, enjoying the beaches and relaxing, conservation rangers are hard at work looking after some of the country's most precious native species. Matt Maitland is the Senior Ranger of Open Sanctuaries. He met us at Tawharanui Regional Park, northeast of Auckland, and told us about some of the Takahe residents who had wandered free and the challenges of looking after the native birds.
So Tamingi and Maka, they have been pushed to the edges of their territory by their neighbours, Pleiades and Pukekohe. There's some real soap opera stuff that goes on here. Pleiades used to be with Tamingi, now with Pukekohe, scrapping around for territory. The territory they were left was a reasonably marginal territory, which was sand dunes and wetland, and as the season has got drier and drier, I think they found motivation to go moving out from that and then keep banging into those neighbours. They took a bit of a wander off beyond the end of the pest-proof fence and onto the neighbouring property. They were rounded up a fortnight ago, and so because they have both left before, they've gone into the air, so we go through that process of saying, are these suitable birds to keep on this site, or is there a better place for them? Can we get some other birds that might stay in their territory a bit better? So Takahe have been critically endangered. They've actually come down in their threat ranking there because of sites like us producing extra birds there and getting the numbers up. Challenges with Takahe here have been the fact that it's not a completely enclosed environment. So unlike a genuine island or a ring fence sanctuary, animals can leave, and they have done in the past. Very occasionally we round them up, put them back, and we've sort of over time worked through with the Department of Conservation around a two-strike policy there. So birds become repeat offenders, okay, then we put them somewhere where they can't escape from, like a real island. Learning how to manage the chicks for those birds, managing for various infectious diseases like erysipelas, which have caused some problems with them over time, and then managing them around the public. That's a huge one. So here we have, it's probably one of the only sites where Takahe live where there is uncontrolled movement of public vehicles through the site. So if the birds are silly enough to come and live in the campground, the car park area, then they're highly at risk from that. So just getting people's behaviour right around these birds. Yeah.
And do you think you will this year have a change round of some of the birds here?
Yes, we will. So we've had a few things happen along the time. So birds that have their genetic value has been reassessed, so they've been moved around. We had a couple of deaths in the year from a neurological condition in one bird. We've had chicks which we've exported. And then we've had a couple of birds which have been runaways like these. So we've now got a few vacant territories for as many as, it's very hard to guess how much space these guys need, but easily for another 6 birds to come in and possibly more. We've then also been chatting with those guys in the Takahe team about what's an appropriate aged bird to bring in here. Up till now we've been receiving largely teenagers, and so they're a bit scrambled and act as teenagers do. We want sort of those ones who are coming into the breeding time so that they just get that breeding signal, knuckle down, set up a territory, set up a family, get stuck in.
And do you know when or how many birds you might get here?
That's always a bit of a moving target. So what will probably be driving that will be the annual production with the main captive population of Burwood Bush in Southland. Also other secure or sanctuary sites like ours and their production, where chicks get moved around from 2 different family groupings, and they're always looking at those genetics to make sure they're not putting close relatives with each other. So towards the end of February you get a very good idea that this year's chicks are going to make it. Up until now, at that point they're always a bit of a risk, they may not make it, and then they can literally start counting their chickens.
There's a special system for keeping an eye on the Takahe. Each bird wears a tracking bracelet from the age of 1, and if they leave their specified area when they're out for a nighttime walk, resident ranger Maurice Puckett gets a text.
It was about 9 o'clock in the morning that they'd escaped. Yeah, 9 o'clock in the morning. And actually it was quite a good one. By 1 o'clock we had them back and telling them off. Hop in here and have a think about what you did, and we'll think about what we'll do with you. Yeah, so these two, they escaped, went around the end of the fence probably 2 weeks ago now. So we managed to go out, we had to catch them. So on their transmitters, at the ends of the fences, we have this electronics which picks up their transmitter, sends me a text and says Sentry 4, and give you the Takehe numbers. So we go, so we run don't run, but we gather ourselves and went out there and we lured them into make up a sort of a trapping pen, lure them into that, catch them again and bring them back. But this is the third time for one of these ones, second time for the other. So it's becoming, they've worked out that they can do it, so it's probably not ideal. So we just sort of got them in here waiting to work out what we're going to do with them. They'll probably be taken off to an island. That way it's pretty hard to escape unless they can get a ferry ticket or something. So normally they go to an island somewhere, ones that have that habit of sort of escaping and wandering. We've sort of worked out that the younger ones are the ones that seem to wander, the ones that have got that lust to see the world, and the older ones are more settled and happy with their lot. So we'll probably be swapping our younger ones and bring any ones that come in will be an older bird above sort of 3 or 4 years old, so that they hopefully more settled and don't give us the runaround.
On the day First Up visited, the rangers and volunteers were showing their work to Auckland Mayor Phil Goff. He talked to us about why the work done by conservation employees is so important in places like Tawharanui.
Well, Tawharanui is one of our regional parks and one of the most beautiful areas of our city, and we attract something like 180,000 visitors a year here. But it's important for other reasons as well. Since 2004 it's been a predator-free zone, which means that we've been able to reintroduce probably close to a dozen new species of mainly bird life that was facing real risk as an endangered species around the region and around the country. So we've just been to see the Takahe, which is really great. A bird that until 1948 was thought to be extinct. As well as that, we've got a major planting program, and one of our answers to our growth in carbon emissions is, of course, to plant more native trees. And the people here from the Open Sanctuary Society have done a fantastic job planting something like 20,000 extra native trees a year that will be both a habitat for native birds, it will green our city, will restore some of our natural environment, but also absorb carbon emissions on a permanent basis.